So now I'm going to ask for a little bit more participation from those of you who are online. I'm going to ask you to type it in the chat. And Hannah, if you could get students to share with you what are some different words for different types of belief in God. So the PowerPoint and hopefully some of Anthony's lecture went over. So I mentioned monotheism and polytheism. What are some other types of theisms that there are? Other types of theisms or isms. No, that can include racism. No, we're just doing religion. Types of theism. Deism, very good, Molly. Do you remember what deism is? And you can unmute yourself if you'd like. It's a good guess for deities. But any form of theism, most forms of theism are going to refer to a specific type of God in the sense that it is a personal God. Okay, so if you are a polytheist, if you're a monotheist, I'm not going to give away the answers to the other ones, but if you're the other types of theists, you are believing in a personal God. Deism is the belief in a God, typically a singular God, but it is an impersonal God. It is not the kind of God that is involved in the everyday affairs of human beings. It's not the kind of God that, intervenes and performs miracles or that one would pray to. This is the kind of God that is responsible for setting the building blocks for the nature of the universe in place, and then they go from there, right? So just an explanation for the creation of things. And so what's interesting about deism is you can find it in every major religion, right? So you could be a Christian deist, right? And just not adhere to the more interpersonal parts of the theology. So good, Lunaria, henotheism is like polytheism, like I mentioned, but when there's a hierarchy. So the Greek system I mentioned is a henotheistic form of polytheism because Zeus is at the top, right? And then the other gods are seen as having a lower status. Good. Polytheism, monotheism, excellent. Pantheism, good. So pantheism, and then there's one very similar to it, but is not the same, panentheism. Okay, so pantheism and panentheism. I'm going to share my screen again with you to talk about the differences between these two. Okay, hopefully you're able to see this. Okay, I can try to, sorry, they give me all kinds of things here. Let's see if I can zoom in. No, that doesn't want to work. Can you guys see this okay? And I can't see your faces, so maybe you can give me a verbal yes. Does that work?
Yep.
Can you see? Yeah? Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So the difference between pantheism and panentheism, right, is going to be subtle, but important for distinguishing between certain types of Eastern religious traditions like Hinduism and indigenous religious traditions. And so the difference is whether or not God is the same and everything, same as everything, or whether or not God is outside of everything and then everything just happens to reside within it. So one way of thinking about this would be, let's see, this is such a terrible example, but this is where my mind goes. So do we all remember you've all seen the Pocahontas film from Disney, right? Do you remember when she's like touching the trees and the animal? Like, that's a very sort of like, right, perhaps overly simplistic version, but there is something to that, right? Acknowledging the supernatural qualities that are just present within all of nature, right? That would be the same as pantheism, right? Thinking that the divine and the universe are one and the same. So everything in nature is going to be divine, right? But it's one and the same. The divine is not then something in addition to and outside of nature. Whereas in panentheism, yes, the divine is present in everything, but only because everything is sort of housed within the divine. Almost if you were to think of the divine like like a womb for the universe, right? It houses the entire universe, but then there are elements beyond it as well, right? It's not only just things in nature which happen to be divine, right? So you might think of panentheism as just postulating something additional above and beyond what also is divine in nature. All right. So pantheism we tend to see in more indigenous traditions. Panentheism we'll see in like Hinduism a lot. We'll see that. Good. All right. So yeah, deism, polytheism, I think those are all the big ones. All right. And so also in the PowerPoint, I kind of give you an overview of some of the major religious traditions so you can get a sense of which types of views they have. But again, the big difference, if we want to generalize, is that we tend to get monotheism in Western traditions, right? Whereas we get polytheism or atheism, right, in the Eastern traditions. All right. Yeah. The polytheists, there's something really interesting about polytheism, just looking at Lunaria's comment here, which is that I mentioned that word anthropomorphic earlier, right? And how much we make gods human-like. Polytheistic traditions tend to make their gods very human, like very fallible, fallible meaning prone to error, right? Very emotional, right?